like 5 minutes. Um, and I am going to quickly, um, just really quickly, I was pulling up the team calendar for this month. So I first off just wanted to give a quick shout out to the girls who have already pretty much almost locked in Success Club for the month. I know we're only a few days in, but let's see. I was pulling up my list here. Shay is super duper close. Lauren is super duper close. Let's see here. Rose is at SE4, and then Emma Coleman and Lauren also at Success Club too. So I just want to give you guys a shout out. I know we're only like now 9 days in, so a week into the month, and so I'm sure the boards are going to change a lot. But I'm so proud of you guys. Keep pushing. Let's make this the best month we've had in the Changing Lives Club like all year. I really believe we can do it. And we've got so many amazing things happening this month, so many things that Beachbody has provided. So obviously, this past week we had the launch of the mint chocolate beach bars, and then XV Sweat and Sculpt Unlock. And then this week, we don't have anything necessarily launching this week, but we do have our fall boot camp kicking off, and then our new coach mentorship kicking off tomorrow. So take advantage, you guys. So many things, so many action hours tomorrow. Ashton is hosting an action hour at 5:30 a.m. And then we'll also have an action hour on Wednesday. Yes, Kirby, I have tried the mint chocolate chip. They are so good. I actually have a box of them that we got sent for being an elite team. But they're really good. Brian especially loves them. So we've actually, we tried out the mint chocolate perfect bar because they have them at Aldi's right now. And Brian did not like them, but he loves the mint chocolate beach bars. So I don't know if that helps. He said that he thought it was the closest to tasting like mint chocolate chip ice cream. As opposed to like some of the others are really like almost more pepperminty, and he really liked those. So yeah, so they're really good. So you guys should grab a box and give them a try because we really love them. These are more chocolate than minty. Yes, Lauren, exactly. So okay, I'm going to throw it over to Kirby, and she is going to introduce Brook for us. I think we've got a few more girls hopping on, but I went ahead and pressed record anyway just to go ahead and get it started. But we're excited.
Yes, I love it. Okay, well, thanks for being on. Brook, we recently changed our team calls to Sunday. They're normally Monday, and so I think we're kind of in this like weird transition where people are trying to figure out our new kind of schedule. But thank you so much for doing this for us. We were hoping to have a guest speaker this month, and I was like, I have the perfect person. I don't know how I found you. I think, did you recently rank advance like in the summer?
No.
No. Okay. Well, I don't know why I was thinking, because sometimes like on the national wake up call when they announce the rank advancements, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of times I skip it because I watch the replay. But there was this one time that I feel like they announced your name as 5-star, and I was like, I'm gonna look that person up because I like to like look them up and then just give them a message. And our team's mission is just to be a light in the network. And so sometimes I just like to message people that rank advance, even though I don't know them, and just be like, way to go. So for some reason, I feel like that's how I found you, but maybe, I don't know. Maybe it was through Jess, maybe, I don't know. But anyways, when I found you, I was like, we've got to have her on because I am just kind of following you briefly. Our team, we were kind of chatting, has been going through kind of a lot of transition and change this year. Like a lot of the coaches on our team have either had a baby or moved or changing jobs or just having like a lot of life happen. And so we've really been trying to encourage each other to like in that, but also kind of like trying to figure out as a team, how do we still show up to, you know, reach our goals and continue to grow our business, even like when life feels really full. And I was just kind of thinking that you do such a good job of this because you're crushing it in your business right now, first of all. And second of all, you have a really full life. And so I just feel like you're an incredible example of this. And that's why I'm so excited to kind of hear from you. And I just know it's going to be a huge encouragement to all of us, because literally every single person on here is like having something big going on in their life right now. And so we have just been trying to kind of figure out, okay, how do we show up? How do we grow when life just kind of feels really lifey and chaotic? And so I just think you're incredible. And everybody, this is Brooke. She, again, is incredible. She has an elite team. Another thing that really encourages me about Brooke is something that has kind of been stumbling block for me, is like believing the lie that I have to have a huge Instagram following in order to grow my business. And I love finding coaches like Brooke, who has a smaller following compared to some of the, like, the top coaches, but is still like crushing it. And so for me, that totally like is not an excuse when I see examples like you, Brooke, because you show up, you have 4 young children and you're pregnant with your 5th. Like, I just think, and you're still showing up, like you're still crushing it. You're an elite team, you're going to leadership. Like, how do you do it? Please give us all the encouragement.
Goodness. Oh, thank you for that. I appreciate it. And thanks for asking me to be here. First off, take anybody, any top coach or whatever, like off the pedestal, because you guys know all the work that goes in behind it. And it is a lot. And there are days that are really overwhelming. And I won't lie, like being pregnant with surprise baby 5 and heading into, like, I know our most intense season of parenting, I'm like, how am I going to balance this? But like, grace, so much of God's goodness, like this is his plan. And before, I'm going to jump into my story and then I have some tips for you guys. But before that, I do want to touch on the social media, because that was a big lie that I used to believe, like you just said, like, oh, well, I don't have a following, like, at all. I think I started Instagram with like 200 followers, and what was that, 5 years ago? And like, that was just something I'm like, yeah, I just don't, when I put up a poll or when I put up a call to action post, like no one's running to me, like, and come to find out, like they usually don't do that anyways. But when I flipped the switch and I was like, hey, God brought this audience to me, there's 200 followers here who are following me and watching what I'm doing. There are people to love on here, and just so you guys know, like, I believe I hit 5-star diamond, I had 500 followers. When we hit elite for the first time, I had like 800 followers, and when we hit 10-star diamond, I still only had like 1,500 followers. And I like remember being like, well, dang, like God just crushed all of those limiting beliefs and lies that had been, keeping me from just loving on the people that he had brought to my doorstep. So don't let that lie. Like, I feel like because I have a smaller following, still to this day, I have like 4,500, which is, in the grand scheme of things, isn't a lot. Like, that just makes me be so much more intentional with who I'm talking to and who I'm connecting to, and like getting to know ladies on a deeper level than if I would have 100,000 followers. And if God ever wants me to have that many, I'll probably fall over and like pass out. I don't even know what I'm going to do with that. But like, I'm just trusting that he's going to bring to my doorstep, like, who needs this? And like, that's where we have to give it over. So, okay. I know it sounds like you guys are going through a lot. I can totally relate. I have been coaching now for 6 years. And I will be upfront and be honest, like, I know I'm not the busiest person out there. Like, I know that we all have our busy, whether you have no kids. I remember being so busy when I had no kids. I remember being super busy when I had 1 kid, 4 kids, now almost 5 kids later. I'm like, life is just always going to be busy. But like, in the midst of those past 6 years, I've had 2 moves. I've had 4 babies. My first pregnancy was not a Beachbody pregnancy. I started coaching and found my coach kind of during my pregnancy. So, but since then I've had 4 babies. I've had 2 really hard losses, miscarriages. We've had 2 moves, we've had travels, and like, there's just a lot of life thrown in there. Then you add in navigating toddlers and little sleep, like you guys know. So how my journey started out 6 years ago, I just want to go back a little bit, because I think so often we can downplay our startup story. And at least for myself, I'm like, I don't have this big like magical moment. I didn't come into coaching with a bang. I came in like thought I was going to have a bang and like basically crashed and burned. But I feel like that there's so much beauty in our story, first off, because it's our story, like no one else's. We know it better than anyone. And we need to make sure we're sharing it over and over again, sometimes in big pieces, sometimes in smaller pieces, sometimes in big moments, small moments, but because it's our story, and that's what it's going to connect people with coaching and with our health journey, is by just sharing the thing that we know most and the most well, which is our story. So I was a teacher. I taught elementary school for 5 years previously to becoming a coach. Had my first baby, and actually just posted about this tonight. Sorry, I do have a cold right now, so I'll be taking drinks of water. And basically the moment I decided to sign up to coach was I had just gone back to work after 12 weeks off, and first time parent mistake, like we had never given her bottles up to that point. She was breastfed, and I was like, oh yeah, she'll figure it out. First day, didn't eat the bottle or didn't take any of the bottle. I'm like, oh my gosh, my baby's not going to eat. She's starving. She's crying, all day. Second day, same thing happened. By the time my husband picked her up and grabbed her, she's just screaming her head off. He calls me. He's like, I know you're at school, but I'm taking her to you. Like, you have to run out to the parking lot and feed her. So I did. I remember like I came out to the parking lot like crying. She was crying. I'm sure he was like crying too. Who knows? It was just a very emotional moment. And I just remember having that feeling that my baby needed me and I couldn't be there for her. I had to ask someone like, hey, I actually need to, is it okay if I like go out and take care of my baby? And I just remember being hit with that. Like, I never want this feeling again where I have to ask permission to go take care of someone that I love. And for me, like, it was just like, that hit me to my core. And the next week I signed up to be a coach. I had been watching my coach for over a year, very silently. There was no stories. I never liked to post back then, so she had no idea I was following her. But I was super inspired by just like her health journey, that she was able to be at home with her babies, and like she was traveling, just all of the things. And I had been praying about it, but I had never said it to my husband. And I had never like said it out loud. Like, I want to do that. I was just that silent watcher for over a year. And when that moment came for me to take that step, it was just like a no-brainer. I'm like, yep, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not ready for this, but I know something needs to change. Okay. So that's when I got started. I came into the business like, I'm doing this for the income. I'm doing it for all of the things. I want the trips. I want the incomes. I want the accolades, like all of the things. I want to glorify Jesus with it. And I crashed. I barely hit Success Club my first year. Like, I didn't know how to hit it. I struggled. My coach kind of took a step back that first year of my coaching, which was totally fine. It's not on her to like, for my success, but I didn't do basically the Success Club tracker. I could do posting. I was like, I can post all day. Like, that's pretty easy. And I ran some groups like every few months, but anytime they fizzled out, I just stopped the groups. So at the end of my first year, I kind of I had that reflection moment, and I was like, okay, I'm making no money because I'm not hitting Success Club. I'm an Emerald coach with like 3 inactive discount coaches, so I'm not getting any team cycle bonus, and I'm in this to build a business. So I was like, okay, being 1 foot in and 1 foot out is the most exhausting place to be, which I'm sure a lot of you can relate, where it's like, hey, I want this. I want to hit Success Club. I want to do well. I want to, honor my teammates and Jesus and, everything with this, but also like I have all this life happening, and it's just an exhausting place to be because you're just pulled in all the directions. So for me, it was just like that one moment where I was like, all right, I'm either going to go all in or I'm just going to go all out. And there was no way that I wanted to go all out because I had fallen in love with the programs. I had fallen in love with the supplements. I had found my groove as a mom, which I had struggled with my health my whole life. And it just felt so freeing. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to dive all in. What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen if I invite and start connecting and following up and joining team calls and listening to national wake up calls? Like, what's the worst that could happen? And I just decided to go all in and do all of the things, which honestly did not take that much longer than doing the things I was doing already. So once I did that, our team started to grow, and the girls that I had been praying for started to emerge. And we went from diamond to 5-star that next year, and then went from 5-star to 10-star the year after that. And we've been 3-time elite, and I've had 4 babies in the midst of it. And like I told you guys, like I don't have the most busy life out there, but I do this because I want to have more time with the things that matter most to me. And having that long-term mindset is so, so important. So I have 3 tips for you guys for how to balance that season of maybe you just had a baby, or maybe you've had a big move, or maybe you've had a big loss and life is just heavy. And it's like, I don't care about Success Club. I don't care about a total solution bag. I don't care about following a program, because I've been there. I think we've probably all been there. So how do you keep going on those times when it just, you don't really want to? So these are my 3 tips for you of how I've kept my business thriving and growing pretty consistently besides that first year over the last 5 years. Number 1, it's probably super, super obvious, but it's lean into it for the number 1 reason you started this, which is your health journey. When I am talking to someone and they're telling me like, well, I just started back to work and I can't do this because, my kids, I have one little one, I'm not sleeping well through the night, and I have this pulling for my attention, this. I'm like, you need this more than ever. You need these workout programs more than ever. You need Energize more than ever. You need Shakeology more than ever. And that's the same for us. Like the times when I want to step back away is honestly, I have to always remind myself, I'm like, no, I have to take a step further in. And I'm not saying that like, that means I need to have the craziest Success Club numbers that month. No, like I think of the times when I've just had a baby, or the times when I've experienced my miscarriages, and just like, so you kind of have a feel when that happened. My second miscarriage happened in the midst of our 10-star diamond hold, which was like a really intense time all around, like having to like holding 10-star diamond and then having my second loss that was like back to back. It was just a lot going on. And I was just like, how do I care right now about this stuff when like this is the last thing from my mind? So I get it. I get sometimes like those things are the last thing from my mind, but keep your health journey first. Keep it the main priority. And it doesn't always have to be a workout program, right? Like when you're postpartum, when you're moving, when you experienced a loss of a loved one, like sometimes it's just focusing on water or your devotion or personal development, like what those things that we need to be doing anyways as coaches, like we need to do them to survive the craziest times of life. So don't back away from those things that are just grounding us to the day. And I think that just helps me get through any of those crazy seasons. And of course, when it is time again, when I'm feeling like, okay, I am ready to start a program. And like, I think back to my losses and postpartum, it's like, man, I don't want to do this, but it's like, I know if I do day 1, okay, if I do day 2, I do day 3, like that ripple effect starts to happen. And I know you guys have all experienced this in one way or another. Like this is probably not new news, but I think it's so important. Like we preach it to our customers, to our clients, like we need to remind that to ourselves on the times that we want to take a step back. It probably means we need to take a step back into our health journey. Okay. And then the cool thing I always notice with that is like, I naturally start wanting to do the vitals when my health journey is like thriving, right? And like, not even thriving, it doesn't have to be good, but I think of like when I'm postpartum and I finally start to feel like, okay, I'm getting back in my workouts and my nutrition and water. Like, why isn't everyone doing this? I feel so good. Like my 4th postpartum journey, my baby just turned 1 last month. And like, I just remember just feeling so good as a mom of 4. I was like, how is this even possible? Like, why are not everybody doing this right now? And it was just so easy for me to just shout it from the rooftops because I felt on top of the world as like in a time when like, if I didn't have Beachbody, I probably would have been like drowning, like literally drowning in all of the things. And to be feeling that good with 4 kids, it's just like, it just naturally but naturally like the vital behaviors of inviting and connecting and running groups and running sneak peeks like start to happen. Okay, so that's my first tip, lean into it for your health. My second tip is you got to make it bigger than Beachbody. Your mission with this, and I'm not here to tell you what your mission is. I don't have like an exercise for you to find it, but you got to make it bigger than Beachbody and selling challenge packs and making an income, which all those things are really cool. But like, what is it that's going to make you show up on the days when it's just like, in the months and the years when it's like, I don't know. And for me, it's to glorify Jesus and lead women physically, mentally, and spiritually. Like, that is my mission. And that is what pulls me out of funks or hard times, knowing that this is so much bigger than a workout. Yes, a workout is really cool and it helps me feel really good so that I can do so much other things. But like, when I think of that mission over just hitting Success Club, like, that mission hits me to my core. And taking it a step further too with social media, because, you know, social media is super tied to our business, like how in the times where I don't really want to show up. But I remember someone shared this with, maybe on a national wake up call or a training a few years ago, that totally flipped the switch for me of viewing it as like, if I had one person just for one day view one post, see one reel, view my stories for that day, would they leave better because of it? Would I have left an impact on them? Maybe it's just a mom tip, or maybe it was a verse. Maybe I gave them a recipe idea. Like, is my interactions with somebody, even if I don't even know I had an interaction with them, does that leave them a better person? And for me, that gave me so much more drive and a mission for social media and my Beachbody business than just showing up to hit Success Club and sell a challenge pack and go 5-star diamond and hit elite. Like, having a bigger reason why you are doing this is everything. And again, I know it's going to be different for everybody. I don't have an exercise, but finding that is so important because we have no boss, right, to answer to with this. Like, my coach is not someone who is hammering down like, Brooke, you have to do this. You got to show up to this or you're not going, you know, or you're fired. Like, we're essentially our own boss and a network marketing company. So it's up to us to be disciplined, to have integrity, to ask for help when we need it, and to do what we signed up to do. All right, so that's number 2, make it bigger than Beachbody. And then number 3 is collaborate. Like, you are surrounded, the Beachbody community, your team, unless you guys like seem like you have an incredible team culture. I can already tell just with the few minutes I spent with you, but you are already surrounded instantly when you get signed up by some of the most uplifting people you will ever meet. Like, everyone's job in Beachbody, like every coach, they have made it their mission to level up their life, right? Like, that is so cool. Not a lot of jobs have that. And when you get surrounded by that, it's like, why are you backing away? So collaborate with them. Number 3 is, I don't know if I said it, but collaborate. So you are surrounded by the most amazing people in your team and the network. Like, lean into that. Ask someone, hey, like, I'm about to have a baby, or like, I'm going through a really rough season. Maybe it's your coach. Be like, is it okay if like I just help you out with your challenge group the next few months until I can start back on my feet with my challenge group? Or maybe you have another coach, like a sister coach or a coach off your team, where it's like, hey, maybe you could do a week in the group. I do a week in the group. You do a week. I do a week. Like, figure out a way that you can still make it work, that makes you lean into your team. Because when you lean in to people who are like, I like to say, like, staying close to the fire when yours is burning out, it helps you stay connected in a huge way. So running groups, running coach sneak peeks together. A lot of my team has just started doing like early morning power hours, which sometimes like we'll have one of us lead like at 5:30 in the morning. But what we've been doing lately is just pulling up a Beachbody Champions power hour. There's like hundreds of them, or going to like YouTube, and whoever like your favorite coach is that is like, you know, does really well with this, pull up one of their power hours and just crank it out together for 30 minutes, one morning a week or twice a week. Like, it doesn't have to be huge, but the more you can just lean in to each other, that's why I think the true magic of this business is, and how you can keep your fire burning when yours is fizzling out. Okay. And the last thing I have for you guys, so those are my 3 tips, is staying close to your health journey, making your mission with Beachbody much bigger than just Beachbody, and collaboration. But I also think plan, like making, I don't want to say, for me, like I know I made Beachbody my plan A. Like, once I kind of found out about it and I was like, all right, teaching the Mac, plan A is Beachbody. However, like, I think people usually think of that as, I can never do anything else. Like, I don't know what God is going to call me. Maybe in 5 years, I might go back to teaching. I highly doubt it, but maybe I will. Or maybe like I'll go work at a coffee shop part-time once all the kids are in school, or maybe. So I'm not saying Beachbody is the only thing I will ever be doing, but I know I'm going to be doing it honestly forever. Like I'm going to be doing it in 10 years when I'm 40. I'm going to do it in 30 years when I'm 70, when I'm 80. Like I will be doing this forever. So when you make it your plan A, that leaves out all of the excuses. When you make it your plan B, C, D, like you open all these doors for excuses. And of course, so many excuses are going to find a way. So having that long-term mindset of like, I'm going to be doing this when I'm a grandma and I have lots of grandkids running around and I'm going to be helping other grandmas. It's going to be so great. Maybe I'll even help my grandkids and my kids in this season of life. Like that is the stuff that I think about during the seasons. Like it's so worth it to just stick around, lean into the fire, do it for my health journey. And that naturally will create me to keep doing the vitals over and over and keeping my mission so much bigger than just selling a challenge pack and going for diamond or star diamond or whatever it may be. So, okay, I know that was a lot and I can tend to talk really fast, but that is all I have for you guys tonight.
Oh my goodness, Brooke. I feel like that was everything that we all needed to hear, including myself. Like, yeah, I mean, we were just chatting it up in the chat, but we're like, man, this is so good. This is what we all needed to hear. I know for me specifically, I just had my third baby 6 months ago, but like my daughter also started school this year. Like there's just been a lot of transition this fall. And so I feel like this summer I was like, if I can just get to the fall, and then the fall came and it was like, oh man, like life is even busier with kids in school. but it's cool because I'm actually in the Sure Thing test group right now. And it's cool like when you're talking about taking it back to your fitness journey, because that's really like, that's where it all starts, you know? And so I just loved that. I also really loved something you said, stay close to the fire, which is just so important, like leaning into the community. And yeah, so good. You said so many things. I like took tons of notes, but if you don't mind, I would love to just do a quick Q&A, see if anybody has any questions, and then we can kind of wrap up. Does anybody have any questions? You can unmute yourself or drop it in the chat. It looks like Carly asked, how do you run your groups? Like what platform, and how do you keep ladies engaged and excited?
Totally. I wouldn't say my groups are like thriving by any means, but I do get excited by them. I do mine on Facebook. I've tried bod groups a few times, and I know I'll bounce back and forth right now. Facebook just seems to be my sweet spot. And I don't know, I just notice when I'm excited about it, like not everyone is excited, but I'll at least have 3 or 4 girls that like rallying with me that month. And like, that's what I care about. I know people are watching. I know people are, you know, they have their own busy and they have their own stuff going on. And I just remind them, it's not all about like how many people are commenting. Like, I won't lie, just because, you know, we have a 10-star diamond team. Like my groups are open to like the whole team. So we have hundreds of ladies in this group. So it can be discouraging when only like 5 show up for that post that day, or 10 show up, or however little or many it can be. But just keeping in mind, like when I'm excited about it, when I'm excited about that theme this week, or I'm excited about the program, like it's always going to be worth it to me. But little things that I like to do are just like weekly challenges, like point challenges with like, if you check in with Shakeology, you get a point. You check in with your workout, you get a point, and you post your progress picture, you get a couple points. And like at the end, I'll send someone a shaker cup. Having spirit weeks, like nothing, like these are nothing I'm sure that you guys haven't heard of, but just, I think it's important to, as long as you're excited about it, that's what matters. But I also like, especially for my newer coaches, I've been encouraging more like smaller pod groups. I think those work really well, whether it's on text message, pod groups, Facebook Messenger. I just think that's a really cool place to also just keep each other accountable. And I don't know about you guys, but like I feel like in general, Facebook groups are kind of like, they're just crickets. So just kind of knowing like things are changing, but just keep showing up and doing what excites you.
Yes, I love that, Brooke. I feel like so many times we put pressure on ourselves and we almost get in our head about it like, am I a second coach? Because like no one's liking this. It's almost good to know like, okay, other people feel the same. Other people have the same issues we do. We all have the same problems when it comes to groups or whatever. Okay, the next question is, and I kind of had a question about this too, but do you have a daily rhythm to get everything done? Like, and I would kind of add to that even too, like, do you use like the Beachbody like business tracker, or do you have your own? Like, what is your like work time look like?
Yeah, totally. First off, mornings, if like you are not taking advantage of your mornings and, waking up 30, 45, an hour before your kids, if you can, like that makes all the difference. I'm sure you guys know that, but like, and personally for me, that always changes. Like, I think it just depends what season of life. Like when I'm postpartum, it looks totally different than when I'm, thriving, like feeling good again. And now that I'm pregnant, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can barely get up. Like, so sometimes I dive right into my workout. That's what I need. Sometimes I dive right into Jesus. Sometimes I dive right into business. I think it just like give yourself that flexibility, that different seasons are going to look different. For me currently, like I've noticed like I just have way more energy when I get my workout in first. I like, do my challenge group stuff, like all that stuff later. I have my big older two kids are in first and kindergarten. So they're at school all day. I can get the other two to nap a good chunk in the afternoon. And that in the afternoon is when I do like all my business stuff. But if I didn't have that afternoon, then like all my business stuff would probably go in the morning and I try and get my workout in later. So just have to be flexible with it. And then as far as tracker goes, I do use the business activity tracker that Beachbody gives us. But I also really focus my months around like my first 2 weeks of my month are heavy with challenge groups. And like my challenge group usually starts like the second week. So like really hardcore with that first week of inviting. Like I'm not someone who's like, oh, I do 5 invites every day. Like I might do like 100 invites that first week of the month because I am trying to get as many girls started with me on a day one. I think that's just for me, that has worked so well. Of course, if they don't start with us on the same day, it's totally fine that month. But going really hard that first week in my challenge groups, and then the second half of the month, really switching gears. And my invites are switched to more coach sneak peek stuff and inviting to coaching. That groove has always worked really well for me and keeps me accountable to like inviting to both because I know it's different for all coaches, but personally for me, like that's how I came into the business, like a business builder right away. Like I jumped in with a challenge pack with never having, and like coaching with never having done like a challenge pack before. So I have a lot of girls who do the same, who come in right into the business. So I talk about the business a lot.
Love that. I love how you mentioned the first 2 weeks and then the second half kind of coaching focused. I think that's really good. Awesome. Any other questions, guys?
You just answered one of my questions. Like, I was going to ask you if you feel like since you came in, like as a coach, if that's the majority of kind of how you sign people up, but it sounds like that is. And my second question is like with, following the tracker and stuff, what do your invites look like right now? Like, do you send a message? Do you send a video? Do you send a voice message? Do you invite from your stories, your posts, like all of the things? Or do mostly people come to you?
Oh no, I do all the things. I rarely have someone come to me. Like, I don't know. That will be the day when that happens, when I'm like just going through my inbox with all the ladies lined up. I'm like, I don't think that'll ever happen. Like even top coaches, I know they have to put in that back work. My invites look a lot of people watching my stories and people liking my posts or reels. Like I don't really invite anyone, like one who's not doing one of those things. But also like connecting. I connect a lot with, I think like those two just go so hand in hand that like, I don't know, sometimes I like my connecting and inviting are kind of the same. Like it's just so natural. I try not to invite like if I haven't connected with them 2 to 3 times already. That's just kind of my thing. But sometimes, hey, like I'm pumped up on an Energizer or something and just finished my workout, and this mom has been watching me over and over again, I'm just going to send her an invite. Like, I don't try and think about it too much, but I do try and have a few touch points before I say like, hey, not sure if you saw my story, because I know you're watching my story. Like, I'm actually starting a group October 10th. Would that be something you'd be interested in? Like, I like to keep my invites really short, brief, to the point, because we usually have talked by then. So like, we kind of know each other. I don't feel like I need to like give all this big background about me, why I think they would be a good fit. Like, I just kind of like to keep it short and sweet and be like, hey, would you want to try this out and see where it goes? Because I know that I need short and sweet in this season of life. So I know that's what a lot of the moms need that I'm talking to.
I know, it's like if you see an email or a message come through and it's like longer than a sentence, you're like, I'm not reading this right now. I love that. I was just curious. That's been a huge focus of our team. Even just this month, we did like a connection challenge, and I feel like that has been really good for us. So
anytime where I feel like people aren't just signing up, or I'm like, I just feel really low this month, and like my Success Club numbers are low, like connecting is where I go. Like, of course the invite will happen, but like, go connect. Like, that is where so much of the relationship is built. And even though I don't enjoy it initially at first, like over time, I'm like, yeah, this is so fun. And it's like, I'm meeting the people that like I potentially will work with and do this coaching business with. And it's always worth it in the long run over time to have solid connections.
Brooke, do you have like a number of people that you're like, you kind of push yourself, like, I want to have this number of people, whether that's Success Club, like X, I don't know. Does that make sense when I'm trying to ask? Like, does that kind of motivate you to like have a certain amount of people that you want on day one in your group?
Totally. Yeah. Like, as far as like signed up.
Yeah, like as far as like you said, you don't really necessarily send X number of invites. You're more like, hey, I want to have, I don't know, I'm just throwing a number out there, 20 new girls join me on day one for Success Club 40 or whatever, 30 or 10.
Mine is 5.
That's perfect. I love it. That's why I wanted to ask.
I can like hit between Success Club 10 and 20. Like, that is good. Like, my sweet spot for me, like, one, it's just like, it's realistic for me. Like, I know I'm just not someone who does 30 or 40, 50. I hope I will one day. Right now I don't. But hey, if I can get 5 girls started with me on a day one, that means that I have at least a better chance of getting 2 or 3 of them listening to a coach sneak peek later, and then 1 or 2 of them signing up to coach with me the next month. Like, at least like that. Of course it doesn't always happen like that, but if I'm like I notice a huge difference when the months that I hit like Success Club 5 or 6 or 8, or even just like barely hit 10, then it's like none of those girls usually will continue on with coaching or anything like that. But if I can just you will find, and yeah, I don't want to say it's a numbers game, but you will find over time, like, what's your sweet spot. Because I do pour a lot into my groups, and then I do equally talk about coaching a lot. Like, a lot of the girls that I sign up naturally become coaches, but it also is a numbers game. If I only sign up 2 girls that month, like, then there's not a good chance that those 2 girls will be signed up to be coaches, because not everyone wants to. So,
well, and I think it's good that you hit on, like, there's so many people who, and I mean, I'm probably stepping on some toes by saying this, but it's true. There's so many girls on our team who are like, I want to hit Success Club 5. I want to hit Success Club 5, but they sit at Success Club 2 or 4 and it's the end of the month and they don't do any extra work. Mm-hmm. Like, they don't spend time just sending invites and like being like, no, I am going to freaking make this happen. You know what I mean? Like, they're just kind of like, oh, well, okay, grace, and I'm all about some grace. So like, I'm not trying to be like, but I think it's really good to say like, no, like, I have a goal and I'm not going to just say, oh, hit my invites of the day, check, you know what I mean? Because that is what a lot of us tend to do with a tracker. It's literally saying, no, I am going to keep connecting until I get that last person plugged in,
I had one girl, she just hit 5-star girls laid out. She's like, when I go for like SC5, or if I'm only signing like 2 to 3 girls every month, and let's say like, she's like, when I was shooting for Diamond, like, it's going to take me almost a whole year to get to Diamond. If like, that's the minimum effort I'm going to be putting in, like, So just think of it like long-term as well. Like the more, yeah, I don't know exactly where I was going with that, but like she just kind of laid it out like super easy. I'm like, wow, like when your goal, especially when you have like a goal in mind, make sure like the numbers make sense with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Okay, last question, because I feel like we probably have a ton. Well, I guess we'll just get these last two because these are the only last two questions. Do you talk about coaching in your bod groups? Because you kind of mentioned that you did.
Yeah, I wouldn't say a ton, but I mean, I would say I try to at least once a week. And especially like when we go on trips, like around Summit, I'm about to go to leadership. Like I'm hyping up, like I'm about to go work out with all of these trainers, you know, like it's really cool. I'm excited to do it. And like, those are the, like, a lot of these girls are like, they're the ones around that time of the month, but also, yeah, just like giving glimpses of like, hey guys, like if you want, my team is doing a book club right now, inviting them to like do book clubs with us, opening the doors that way. But I don't know, I think it's just so dependent. Maybe it's not, but like for me, I came in as a coach wanting to work, so that's what I get a lot. I'm not a huge like challenger to coach converter. Like not like I do have that maybe like one a month or something, but like most of the time I have coaches like come in ready to work and ready to go for it. So I have a lot of girls that are just see those coaching posts every single month though, over and over again. And you know, I don't think there's any magic to what you do, what you say. Just got to do it.
Love that. Have you been to leadership before?
Yes, this is.
It's my favorite event. I'm not going this year, but unfortunately, but it's my favorite. I'll be back next year. I have the baby that won't take a bottle that you were talking about earlier, so it's like super complicated right now. Okay, last question. So Megan asked what your onboarding process looks like.
Totally. I have a Canva graphic that I send them, and I can share it with Kirby and she can share it with you guys. It's super simple. And I won't say, like, I think I'm like, this is pretty. It looks really good, but I don't think there's any magic to it. I mean, it basically lays out like your health journey, like, and that you need to be doing PD, take your before picture if you haven't already. I help them write their first post. And then I'm like, okay, now go find accountability buddies. Like I just try and keep it really sweet and short. And it honestly just depends who wants to run and go do it. I think a lot of girls, but I think the magic, at least for me, is those one-on-one messages of like, okay, if they are able to have like on the last slide, like send me these 5 questions and then let's get on a Zoom or like a phone call or whatever we can do. And like, if we can get on that Zoom or phone call, that is huge. At least for me, if they don't like, if they're not even willing to put like that effort into it, then I'm like, okay, they were probably not going to go anywhere, at least right now. So that works well for me. And just getting them started and being really specific with their first, like we call it commitment post. I think that because usually if they're really specific and like I can help them craft that usually can help them get 1 or 2 people signed up from the start. And that, you know, you guys all know that just ignites your fire. It's like, oh my goodness, like people are watching, people are paying attention. So I find that those kind of things really help.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Brooke. We kind of have this thing that we do here on our team, and we like to kind of end the call just praying over you and your business and your family. And we just thank you so much for taking the time. I know that like you're super busy. You've got your business, your kids, all the things going on. So taking the time to pour into us, like I'm really seriously so grateful. So thank you so much. And we hope you have an amazing time at leadership. It's going to be so fun. Okay, I want to pray for you really quick and then we'll let you go. Heavenly Father, God, thank you so much, Lord, for tonight. Thank you for just all these amazing women taking the time just to jump on here and pour into themselves and their business, God, and just taking the time to grow and learn from Brook. God, we're so grateful for her just sacrificing time to be here with us, to pour into some people that she doesn't even really know, but just being willing to do that, God, and just is so cool, and so encouraged by her tonight, God, and just her story and what you're doing in her business and her family. God, I just want to pray over her family, God. Just this week that's ahead, God, is going to be kind of crazy with her going out of town and mom not being there to hold everything together. But God, I just pray that you would bless her time away and refresh her. God, I pray that just everything would go smoothly at home, and that she would just have an amazing trip out to leadership. God, I pray that you would just use it just to reignite and continue to just keep her business growing, and God, that you would bless her team and bless the fruits of her labor, God. Lord, we love you so much. Thank you so much for tonight. I pray over this week. I pray for each of the women on our team, God, that whatever they needed to hear tonight, it would just be divided 20 different ways, and they would walk away with that, God, just excited and pumped up just to go help some people this week and serve them in fitness. And it's in your precious and holy name we pray. Amen. Thanks, Brooke. Thanks, everybody. Y'all have a great week.
Bye.